If you are the Knickerbockers, you got to go all in. You got to go all in, baby. You want to know why? Listen, you have struck out in how many free agencies, Will? How many signings? You know, Stephen A. We can give you something to cheer for, but this is going to be more than talk. And I understand this deal can't be done until what? Around December 15th, because they just signed some guys. They've got some things going on. But if you're Miami, this ain't no home run hit either. They've got to move some things around. They got to play around with the cap. But the reason I throw this out, Will, for one, Russell Westbrook is proven that he's going to bring it with or without another star on the other side. So he'll play for a starless New York Knicks basketball squad. Secondly, this is a guy who can handle the New York media. This is a guy who has no problem taking the hard-hitting questions, and I know this was thrown around. How would Kyrie deal with it? How would KD deal with it? Guess what? There's no problem with Westbrook doing that.
Hold on. Can I just follow up on that one really quickly before you lay out your entire argument? What is it about Russ's sensitivity with the Oklahoma City media that makes you think he's built for New York media? Was it when he was rattling the ice in his glass and ignoring questions, you thought, that guy right there, you know what I think he'd be good at? Dealing with the New York Post. Was it when he was ignoring questions that you thought, I bet the New York Daily News will love Russ? What is it specifically about how he handled Oklahoma City that makes you think he's built for New York media?
He's going to speak his mind. And what you may call sensitivity, I call just making a freedom of speech, making a choice, okay? And thirdly, we talked about a guy.
If next question is speaking your mind, I guess you're right.
We got to look at playing style. Russell's arguably the hardest working and playing player in the NBA. New Yorkers, East Coasters, tough guys, love that. They would salivate to have Russell Westbrook. And possibly this could be number one. This could be the biggest thing. He can go out and recruit. If you're New York, you now, and hear me saying this, you got to take the small market approach. You have to draft well, and you have to go out and trade for guys. You are going to strike out in every free agency. And when I say recruit well, hear me on this. And I want to hear your rebuttal for this.
You will.
This man was able to get Paul George to choose Oklahoma City over L.A. Hold on. The star in Paul George chose Oklahoma over L.A. So if you're telling me he can't recruit or he can't keep a player home, you got something else in store.
Sarah, what are we doing here? Like, am I taking crazy pills? What is going on here? I mean, I'm serious. I'm not even playing with you.
New York needs him. They need him. They need Russell Westbrook.
You couldn't be more wrong if you tried. You couldn't. Not more wrong if you tried. Russell Westbrook has proven one thing over the last couple of years. He is not a lure. He's not a recruiter. He's been rejected by two superstars.
Paul George didn't stay?
Ryan.
Paul George didn't have a choice to go to L.A. and stay in Oklahoma City. I'm just trying to figure out. Ryan. He was on a long-term deal. He was traded there.
Is Woj around? Can we get like a newsbreaker, maybe like an NBA insider? Because you haven't heard the news.
Right now.
Maybe you didn't hear. Maybe we can put it on the lower third. Paul George just demanded a trade to the L.A. Clippers.
We understood it wasn't working out. But the fact that he stayed another year, which he chose, correct?
Take a minute. Get your ice skates under you. Let me explain to you something. He just demanded a trade from Russell Westbrook. That
was not from Russell Westbrook. That was not what that was about.
Ryan.
That was not what that was about. It was an opportunity to go home when things didn't work out. And the one thing he had, I guarantee,
Ryan.
Are you questioning that he didn't have Russ's blessing?
I think you need to listen for a minute now, okay? He just demanded a trade 1 year into a 4-year deal. He just demanded a trade away from Russell Westbrook toward Kawhi Leonard.
Don't make this about Russell Westbrook, dude. You can't do that, Will. You cannot do that.
That Kevin Durant did just years ago. You have now seen two superstars reject the idea of playing with Russ.
That's false, Will. Stop throwing out false information, Will. You're putting your spin on that.
Ryan, I'm watching what's happening. I'm not saying guys don't like Russ. I'm not saying his personality isn't appealing. We see the Instagram post of him hanging out with LeBron and CP3, but what's happening is clear indictment of playing basketball with Russ. And for you not to see that, and for you to lay back on evidence a year old and ignore the present tense is just simply asinine. Here's the deal. Let's get to the Knicks. This makes no sense for the Knicks on multiple levels. The first I've been laying out to you. He's not a lure for free agents. We've seen two superstars walk away from him, much less come to him.
Hold on. Sign in OKC.
Listen.
God, why do you keep saying that?
Also, He's 30 years old and is in a 5-year, $200 million contract, the last year of which he will make $47 million. When you look at the New York Knicks, is that a roster set for a 33, 34-year-old point guard? It's not, man. Here's what I think. Listen, and you'll learn something here. There are 3 boxes to check on where Russell Westbrook should land. Number 1, a team in the East. Because the East, although has its favorites in the Bucks and the Sixers, is more up for grabs than the West. So somebody needs to roll the dice on Russell Westbrook in the East. It's the risk-reward ratio. The reward is potentially higher in the East for the risk you take in taking on Russell Westbrook. Number 2, you need to have the assets to make a deal. I don't think the Heat have the assets. You laid out it's going to be tough.
They're going to need a third team.
That's my real question. Everybody talks up the Heat. Like, if I'm the Thunder, I'm looking at the Heat roster, and they've already given away first-round picks. I'm like, what do I want? Why am I making a deal with Miami? Everybody's in love with putting Russ next to Jimmy Butler. Fine. But you got to make the Thunder like the deal from Miami. Otherwise, somebody else steps in. And the third box to check for me is, are you middling? Are you stuck? Right? Like the Raptors were when they made the gamble for Kawhi. The Knicks are nowhere near that. They're a bottom-tier team. Now, there are 2 teams that I think are interesting and check all 3 of those boxes. One is the Bulls, and the other is the Pistons. I think playing with Blake Griffin and Andre Drummond, 2 veterans stuck in the middle of the East, Russell Westbrook is a good risk-reward for the Detroit Pistons. The Knicks make no sense.
See, here's the problem. If I'm Oklahoma City, and the one thing I credit them for is that they appreciated the loyalty from Russ and the loyalty from Paul George to say. So instead of sending Paul George just anywhere, they send him back home to L.A. Is this where you want to go, Paul? You stayed with us. We're going to take care of you. We know those were your original plans. Would I send Russell to the Pistons? No, I wouldn't.
Why?
I'm not going to send him to Detroit. No.
Why?
It's loyalty. He wouldn't want to play there. If there's any choice right now he had, it would be Miami. If New York opens up, which it should, they should send him there. And I want to ask you this.
Yeah.
Who have the Knicks signed in free agency? What big name had they had come through there?
But signing Russell...
No, answer the question, Will.
I will answer it. Signing Russell Westbrook would be a lot like signing Amari Stoudemire.
Can you answer? No, that's not. No, that's not.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports, highlights, and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus right now.